Non-simultaneously apprehended interacting processing. I see no nouns, I only see verbs. Not only do I seem to be a verb like Bucky Fuller, but the whole universe, scenario universe, seems to be a verb. Interacting, processing. The greatest relief I get from pain is from marijuana brownies made by a women's collective, people with muscular dystrophy, post-polio syndrome, AIDS, cancer, and a few other problems that are very clearly and obviously helped by marijuana brownies. And when this federal government announces that they've canceled the 10th Amendment and the states have no right to legalize anything that the federal government is against, I am naturally furious. They're threatening me with a life of steady pain until I die. That's what they're threatening me with. Of course I'm pissed off at them. And it's not just for my own sake, but it's for the sake of all the AIDS patients, all the cancer patients, all the other people who are, for whom life is bearable because they can get some marijuana in one form or another. It is one of the best painkillers known, and it's non-addictive, and it has an extra added benefit, the high, which is what the SOG is afraid of. They don't want anybody to get high because people who are high get happy, and people who get happy get ambitious and uppity and rambunctious. They want everybody to be depressed. But the high is part of the cure. I think every goddamn disease in the world is improved by feeling happy and good. And any compound that not only relieves pain but makes you feel happy and cheerful and think of funny things is helping your cure. I don't see any reason why all forms of pain can't be abolished with the proper drugs. And I think the government's attempt to control drug research out of fear that people may feel too good is the last dying gasp of the dinosaur age. I think we are governed by Tyrannosaurus Rex and velociraptors and types like that. I really think the abolition of pain is the noblest goal we can aim for. Also clean water for everybody and enough food. I think these are quite attainable goals. If society was saying these would be our goals. Spread clean water, adequate food, and the absence of pain all over the planet. Who would want to become a terrorist? What would they be angry about? What would they be mad enough about to start throwing bombs at somebody else? It's great to see all your faces out there, ladies, gentlemen, and narcs. Everybody look around and see if you can spot the narcs. They're the ones who look like hippies. When you define the power elite as somebody else, I regard that as a loser script. I define the power elite as myself and my friends, and that's a winner script. And the way to accomplish things is with a winner script. I define myself as a winner, I define my program winnable, and I count on the stupidity of whoever seems to be in power to undo them eventually. The strongest conspiracy on the planet is the conspiracy of the stupid. Yeah. To prevent schools from educating their children, because they want their children to be as dumb as they are, to prevent television from putting anything intelligent on as much as possible.
What is it about the human psyche that seems to be drawn towards these conspiracy theories? Is it some love of the unknown, or some idea that there may be forces out there that are controlling our destiny? Or
Well, I think there are three factors. A, nobody likes to take the blame for their own problems, so they look for somebody else to blame. And if you can find a big enough group, you've explained everything in your life that doesn't work.
That's the parental conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it's not your fault. It's the fault. Yeah, if it's not your fault or your parents. It's the Jesuits, the Freemasons, the Jews, the Bilderbergers. the Council on Foreign Relations, you got a wide choice to pick who to blame.
Rich white man.
Yeah, as long as you don't have to blame yourself. None simultaneously apprehended. Apprehended none simultaneously. Interacting processes. Interacting processes apprehended none simultaneously. I believe that what we perceive is based on the culture of our parents and our teachers and the people around us and on the language we speak. And I'm interested in ways of changing perception. Bruno represents the point in our culture where science and mysticism were alive. They were both attempts to find out what the hell is going on in this universe by experimental method and by trust in the ability of the individual to figure out what the hell is going on just through the method of experiment. And anyway, that's the background is experiments on altering consciousness and perceived reality tunnels. In Bruno's day, it was the three terms were divided up differently. You had science and mysticism on one side and religion on the other side. Science and mysticism were allied in their struggle against religion. Science and mysticism were both based on experience, and they were both based on respect for the individual. The idea of science and mysticism was go out and discover for yourself. Find out what works. Find out how the universe is actually structured and how you relate to the structure of the universe. And so there were basically two areas of scientific exploration, the external and the internal. But they were both pursued by the same method, the experimental method. Ritual is to the internal sciences what experiment is to the external sciences. Mysticism, understood in that way, is basically a branch of science. It's a branch of neuroscience, what Timothy Leary calls neurologic, as distinguished from orthodox neurology, which involves dissecting animals or dissecting corpses or something. Neurologic is studying the nervous system directly by varying the parameters on which your nervous system functions. There are different levels of reality, obviously, and the psychedelic level is one of the most fascinating ones, one of the most erotic, one of the most mystical, and above all, one of the funniest. I recommend it highly to everybody over 40.
The name Are You Serious comes from directly from Robert Anton Wilson, actually, the book Cosmic Trigger, in which he goes into the serious mysteries. It's also, I mean, one of the great books for just raising your level of clarity and intelligence and psychedelic humor and everything you could possibly want from a book. Cosmic Trigger was the motherlode.
Well, looking back, I accept that metaphor as pretty accurate. All writers are channelers in some sense. Faulkner talked about the demon that dictated his books to him. Norman Mailer talks about the navigator in the unconscious. William Blake said the prophets Ezekiel and Isaiah dictated his poetic, prophetic books to him. Most artists traditionally have talked about the muse. And for people in County Kerry, it's a 6-foot-tall white rabbit. For me, it was an extraterrestrial from Sirius. There are different metaphors for the experience. Philip K. Dick and I had a series of rather similar experiences, and out of his experiences he constructed to Alice, which looks like a science fiction story most of the way, and then abruptly at the end you suddenly find out maybe it's not a science fiction story, maybe it's an account of Philip K. Dick going crazy, or maybe it's an account of Philip K. Dick being contacted by extraterrestrials. Well, the Cosmic Trigger has pretty much the same structure. So that Robert Anton Wilson being contacted by extraterrestrials. No, it's Robert Anton Wilson going crazy. No, it's just Robert Anton Wilson experimenting with alternative realities and coming out of Chapel Perilous at the end without believing in any of them. The structures are very similar because they were based on very similar experiences. Well, let's say I believed it passionately for a couple of months. Then I began to have doubts, and then suddenly I had this flash or insight about 2.5 years later
My God, this is the same sort of thing that's recalled by different names in different traditions. Because we were going on all over the world for centuries. And every shaman has an ally, and I was an apprentice shaman. I had to find an ally, and I found one. Boy, did I find one.
Chapel Perilous is a stage in the magical quest in which your maps turn out to be totally inadequate for the territory, and you're completely lost. And at that point, you get an ally who helps you find your way back to something you can understand. Mm-hmm. And then after that, you've got for the rest of your life, you got this question, was that ally a supernatural helper, or was it just part of my own mind trying to save me from going totally bonkers with this stuff? And the people I know who've had that kind of experience, very few of them have ever come to an absolutely certain conclusion about that. The puka plays the same role as the holy guardian angel in Kabbalistic magic, or the extraterrestrial in the Whitley Strieber type experience, or the ghosts of dead relatives speaking through a seance in 19th century spiritualism, or Ramtha speaking through Jay-Z night. These are all different metaphors for basically the same experience.